We are back with you now on Wave Listens Live, an important segment to get to now. We are here with Advanced ENT and Allergy. I want to introduce you now to Dr. Stephen Schatz, who's here to my left. It's great to have you on the show today, Doctor.
I really appreciate being able to share this with your viewers.
This is important stuff, and I was talking to you in the commercial break. We're going to talk a bit about ear tubes, something that I had as a child. So I imagine that things have changed over the years, and there's a lot that comes with this when we're talking ear tubes, how they've traditionally been put in children, and kind of where it goes from there.
Oh, absolutely. Traditionally, ear tubes had always been placed in the operating room using general gas anesthesia. And this is because the ear tubes themselves and the eardrum are both so small, we have to use an operating microscope to be able to perform the procedure. The operating microscope is great because you can see really well, but at the cost of only being able to see a very small area, maybe the size of your pinky fingernail. And the procedure required several steps where we had to clean wax from the ear canal, make a small incision in one specific part of the eardrum, and then place the ear tube into that incision, which requires some finesse. And so in a moving child where you can only see a very small area, it was just never really felt that it could be performed with any success without using general anesthesia. And so now there are these new devices, and the new devices are capable of placing the ear tube into the eardrum in just a fraction of a second, much like piercing the ear with a ear piercing gun. And this allows us to perform the procedure in the office without any general anesthesia, where they don't have to worry about avoiding eating or drinking before the procedure, and the parents can be with them the entire time to support them during the procedure. Now, the younger children, we do have to hold them still so that they don't move during the procedure. The older children, we typically don't. But basically, we just clean out the wax from the ear canal, numb the eardrum with a topical anesthetic, and then we place the tube, and typically can complete the entire procedure in just a few minutes, and then they leave and go about their day with no side effects of anesthesia.
To be able to explain this, because now I'm thinking to my generation, right? So I had this done the first way, the traditional way, with the anesthesia and all of that in the operating room, and this was 30 plus years ago. So now my generation's to the time where we're having kids, and so you're talking to parents who are hearing about these new techniques and new technologies for the first time that maybe had some fears about having their children go through it. What is it like for you to be able to say, hey, we've got this new way of doing this, of doing the important work that ear tubes, what they provide, and we have a new way of doing it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, so there are always different options for any treatment, whether you use antibiotics or you use holistic medicine. I mean, you're always making a choice. The way to think about this is, there have, for children less than the age of 3, they have very rapidly developing brains. And the younger the child, the more rapidly the brain is developing. Now, there have been some animal studies that have suggested that anesthesia and some sedation can have more of a harmful effect on younger children than it does in adults or even older children. And so the general anesthesia is very nice because they're comfortable, but the question is, is it really necessary? And, I think every parent is going to have to decide between potentially using, general anesthesia and what comes with that versus just having the procedure done in the office. And I'll tell you, there is a great website, smarttots.org, that is an anesthesia website, and it has the latest information on the use of anesthesia in young children that I just mentioned.
It's fascinating stuff, and I'm sure we could go on all day talking about some of this, and that's why it's great to have experts like yourself on. Outside of what you were just talking about, parents having to make this decision, find out information about anesthesia, what are some of the other benefits to having, when we're talking about the procedures like we are today, to getting that done in the office?
Well, just, it's a very, with the new devices, the procedure is fairly quick. I mean, minutes. And I think that there's relatively little discomfort. Now, certainly we have to hold the small children still, but, we work like an Indianapolis 500 pit crew trying to minimize that time as much as possible. And really, we've gotten it down to a few minutes, which I think is reasonable. The great thing is the numbing medicine works very well. So there's really no pain during or after the procedure. And the great thing about this is as they leave, pretty much the children are fine. So sure, it does, cost you holding them still for a few minutes, but there's really no lingering effect. And so, you know, with anesthesia, there is some lingering effect. You know, I think that's what you have to decide, you know, but obviously we can't perform it on every single child. Like, you won't be able to perform it successfully on every single child, you know, but fortunately the youngest children are the easiest to hold still, and they're the ones that in theory benefit from avoiding anesthesia the most, and fortunately they're the ones who require tubes the most.
Sure.
And so, you know, I think this is going to open up the door to a lot of children to have the procedure done in the office.
Okay, I know you have sent some video in as well, so I want to make sure that we get a chance to tee this up and see what we're looking at here. And as we do, can you walk us through exactly what we're seeing here?
This is the Tula device, and it's an all-in-one system that basically you place next to the eardrum after it's been numbed, and then you place the tube. So we apply a topical anesthetic prior to placing the tube, and you can see that, you know, it takes roughly a half a second to put the tube in the eardrum.
Okay, so we've talked a lot too about why this is so beneficial for children and how we are able to use these new techniques and technologies to place tubes for children. How about adults? Because I know this is probably something that you get a lot of questions about on the adult side as well.
Well, so the truth is, for adults, we've essentially universally placed the tubes in the office forever.
Okay.
Adults can hold still.
Yeah.
And
most of us.
No, exactly.
Don't give me too much credit.
Even those who can't hold completely still, we don't even need the one-step devices. You know, we just topically numb the eardrum and then place the tubes. And I'll tell you, I don't think I've ever had an adult, and this is the Hummingbird device, I don't think that I've ever had an adult regret having the ear tube placed in the office or wish that they had had it done with general anesthesia.
Right. Oh, I was going to say, I can't imagine anyone would. It's great to be able to see this video and put that to it. We've got roughly 30 seconds left. So last thing I want to do is if folks out there, whether they have kids or maybe themselves think that they're going to need this, best way to get in contact with you guys, kind of get the ball rolling, get consultations done, and anything they need to look out for in the meantime?
No, sure, call us. I mean, you know, this is just a decision, and ultimately the parents will have to decide what is best for their child.
Right.
And we're happy to provide all the information and walk you through, you know, sort of the very specifics of it for your individual child to help you make that decision.
Okay, we've got the information right there on your screen. Advanced ENT and Allergy, located right there on Breckenridge Lane. There's a phone number on the bottom of your screen. Dr. Schatz, I want to thank you for being with us here today.
I can't appreciate it enough.
All right.
Thank you.
See you guys back here tomorrow.